on this. The last time it happened, 3 goalless draws between 2 top-flight clubs in the same campaign. Everton against Wimbledon, 1992-93 season. So that's a long time ago.
But there is an omen there.
There is.
They were playing at Selhurst Park, weren't they, at that time? We're there tonight. Oh dear. We shall see. We shall see, folks. Stay positive. Slight miscue there from Sven Botman, under pressure from Edouard. Back in a more familiar striker role this evening. Was playing behind Mateta in midweek. Palace can't capitalise. They keep the ball though, right hand side. The veteran Joel Ward, one of a few whose contract running out at the end of this season. Cross block. Bruno brings it away into Callum Wilson. Breaks the way of Longstaff. He loses out to Decore. Scrappy in the central third for a few seconds. Palace come away with it and knock it back to Mark Gay, playing in central defence alongside the USA international, US men's team international, Chris Richards, as they were together in midweek.
Yeah, hasn't really settled down yet, has it? It's been hectic, as you'd imagine. Crystal Palace, though, looking to get control of the ball wherever they can and probe. It's just a question of, can they penetrate this Newcastle United rearguard? They're so well organised under Eddie Howe. They give you very few gifts. And you've got to remember, Eddie Howe was a manager at Bournemouth with a reputation for playing attacking football that just always leaked goals. So it's remarkable, really.
It's almost like coaches can learn over time and develop and get better. There was no way of knowing.
Who'd have thought it?
Just sack him and get another one. It's a much better system. 2 minutes gone here. Palace trying to find a way down the right channel by the corner flag. Blocked by big Dan Burn and Bruno Guimaraes in that area. Dan Burn has a throw into Bruno. Back to Burn. He'll find the former Arsenal man Joe Willock. Nice little bit of football there from Newcastle. Triangular passing and a clip upfield towards Callum Wilson. Headed forward by Ward. One of the 4 changes for tonight. Back in his familiar right back spot, replacing Nathaniel Klein, who's dropped out. Ball forward by Palace there. Aimless and over the end line for a goal kick. 3 minutes gone, 0-0.
They've struggled, haven't they? For a side that's got so much flair in forward areas, so much pace and power. I did expect more from Patrick Vieira's Crystal Palace this season. I was looking at some of the numbers beforehand. They've had the 3rd fewest touches inside the opposition box. And when you're top heavy like they are, in terms of your better players are at the front end of the pitch, that's criminal, really, isn't it? So I think there's a lot for them to work on. I just feel like this season hasn't at any stage got going, Crystal Palace. Maybe tonight's the night.
Lovely bit of football there from Mark Gay, who carries Palace upfield, then overruns it, then takes out Sven Botman in the process. Newcastle are breaking away, but the referee has then stopped it, and I think it'll be a yellow card here for the Crystal Palace man, the skipper, in the absence of Anderson and Milivojevic. Mark Gay, but brilliant play initially, but just seemed to get lost midway through.
Yeah, he walked past 2 or 3 players, then there was a slightly heavy touch, which allowed Sven Botman to just nip in there, and he wraps his boot around his shins. I think that the shin pad would have covered it for the Newcastle defender, but it was late. It was a little bit reckless from Mark Gurhey, and he has. I think that's a correct caution from Craig Pawson. Sven Botman, how good's he been, by the way? Oh, very accomplished. I mean, barely makes a foul.
There's a reason they chased him for so long. The new-ish Newcastle owners tried to bring him last January before signing him in the summer transfer window.
Yeah, but just very rarely makes a mistake.
Either to Kieran Trippier, who knocks this ball forward, on by Byrne, on by Botman, down by Joe Linton, who has to turn away from goal in the penalty area. Back to Joe Willock, trying to recapture that purple patch he had during his loan run at Newcastle before signing permanently. Little run in the team here, in the absence of others. Newcastle keep the ball, work it towards the halfway line, where Kieran Trippier can fire one diagonal. It's down but not away by Gay, picked up by Longstaff, and then running away from his own goal. It's Botman who will find a pass back, and then they'll regroup. Botman, Byrne on the back line. Fabian Schär clipped upfield towards Willock, cleared away by Ward for Crystal Palace, brought down by Ayew midway inside his own half, and it's always a willing runner, the Ghana international, and finds a forward pass into Edouard. The return, Ayew just stopped, and Newcastle nicked it back.
They're just so fit and hungry, Newcastle United. A really good pressing team as well this year. You remember them previously under Steve Bruce. I mean, I don't think they ever pressed. They're always on the edge of their own box. Just completely different team now.
And now they're driving down the left-hand side with Willock, who's in the penalty area, cuts it back, chance for Almiron! And he's put it wide from the right-hand side. I think we all expected the net to ripple there. The Newcastle fans over on that side were cheering like it's gone in. Everything's gone in for Almiron this season, but not that time.
Oh, it's brilliant play between Willock and Guimaraes. Beautiful 1-2. And Willock couldn't do more. He hasn't got a lot to aim at, and he just dinks it. He stands the ball up to the far post, misses out all the Palace defenders. Almiron on the volley. You think he's going to score 9 goals this season, but no number 10 there.
One of 3 Newcastle players to start all 19 games this season. Miggy Almiron, as Adrian says, 9 goals in the Premier League. You won't be surprised to hear is his best return of goals since he's moved to the club from MLS and Atlanta United, £21 million back in 2019. I've got a very different player on our hands this season to others. That's why we all thought he was about to score.
And why is he a better player? Okay, he's got better players around him, but he's playing for a team that are now on the front foot. He's playing for a team that want the ball inside the final third, and I mean, he's always had those qualities. He was a beater player. He's always had that ability to score goals. I think he's really enjoying himself now.
7 minutes gone. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0 on Premier League Live. One decent chance for Almiron. All there is to report in terms of goalmouth action to this point. Or clipped forward there by Newcastle, trying to release Almiron. Now to play for a Crystal Palace throw on the far side, left-hand side, which Tarek Mitchell will take. Holmesdale Road is where you can hear the drums coming from, where they provide a continual, I'll say, sound during the game. You can decide for yourselves whether you think it's atmosphere.
I like it.
Not for me, Clive.
You'd miss it at Selhurst Park. You just expect it, don't you? It's that constant sort of hum.
You never leave Selhurst Park without a migraine.
No, this is true.
Lovely flick round the corner to Willock from Joe Linton, who again is in the penalty area. Decore's chasing. Willock keeps on going. We slightly overrun it. Was stumbling at the end. Chris Richards came over to get his body in the way, and it comes off Willock for a goal kick. He looked like he was in, then suddenly wasn't.
Yeah, it was good defending, wasn't it, from Chris Richards? He just bided his time and then stepped forward at the right moment, nicks it off of Joe Willock, and earns his team a goal kick. That's really, really smart defending from the American. It was a good run. I love the combination between Joe Linton and Joe Willock. As you see now from this restart, Joe Linton's the left winger, Willock is the left-sided central midfielder, but they'll interchange the whole game, and they already have 2 or 3 times already. Both have got unbelievable engines, and that's why they play every week.
At TalkSport Live is the place to get in touch with us in the commentary positions. Love your thoughts on Chris Richards getting another start in the Premier League. I know we've got a lot of listeners in America today tuned in as Crystal Palace try and bundle their way through a crowd of Saudi Arabia players. Or is that Newcastle? I forget. Can't do so. Cleared away by Fabian Schär in there. Got the final clearance. Came off a Palace leg. It's a Newcastle throw. Right hand side, midway inside their own half.
I think Eddie Howe will be satisfied. They haven't really had to ride any kind of home storm, have they? I think they've been the better side in the opening stages. They're the ones that have managed to get onto the ball a little bit more often. They're the ones stringing passes together, getting their forward players onto the ball in decent areas. I think Palace look a little bit ragged.
And Bruno Guimaraes is now goal side of Ayew. Once again, they're in the penalty area from the left-hand side. Newcastle, Bruno cross-field. Almiron outside the area, into Longstaff. Overlapping run being made, but the chip forward was poor towards Trippier. Longstaff has won it back, but not for long. And now Crystal Palace can break, but not for long. Good challenge, Almiron. Newcastle retake it as Edouard tried to bring Crystal Palace upfield. Down the line, Trippier, blocked by Mitchell. Throw in Newcastle, 10 minutes gone, 0-0.
Yeah, look, any season, in any league, almost always the best teams, the teams at the top, as soon as they lose the ball, they get it back really, really quickly. They're just hungry. They're on it. They're sharp. Their positioning is compact. That's Newcastle. As soon as they lost it there, bang, Almiron wins it back. It's impressive.
There's Jeffrey Schlupp in the centre circle for Crystal Palace, who comes in for Will Hughes today. I thought he came on and made a big difference against Manchester United in midweek. Gave them an energy that was lacking against United here. So far not been able to impress himself on this match. Premier League winner with Leicester City, of course, Jeffrey Schlupp. It's a foul on Longstaff here in midfield by Schlupp. And a free kick to Newcastle United, right-hand side of the centre circle.
He's been around forever, hasn't he, Jeffrey Schlupp? I mean, he's not been a regular anywhere, has he? But he's had a very good career, as you rightly pointed out.
Brilliant squad player. Brilliant squad player.
Fantastic squad player, because he can play left back, central midfield or left wing. That's valuable, isn't it, if you're a gaffer?
Central midfield today for Crystal Palace, who are coming forward here with Eze on the far side. Looking to find the overlapping run of Tyrick Mitchell. Zaha was there too. It comes off Longstaff's leg. Retreating there where Newcastle went into corner to Crystal Palace on the attacking left-hand side.
Yeah, I think they've both scored 6 set-piece goals apiece, these two. So they're sort of above mid-table in the set-piece league. See if Eze can produce a good delivery here. He's an excellent technician, I have to say. The former QPR man. Great right foot.
Anderson in the matchday squad today for Crystal Palace to send forward in this situation, but Richards is there, as is Gay, the two centre-halves. Edouard, plenty of height.
Man-to-man here, cluster on penalty spot.
Ball whipped in towards the back post. Big Dan Burn gets the ball away. You won't be surprised to hear that, I imagine. The tallest player on the field heads it away.
They'll miss Anderson as much as it's a great opportunity for Richards. They'll miss his passing.
Yeah.
He's a great diagonal passer. I talked ahead of kick-off about looking to maybe get in behind the fullbacks with the pace merchants, Ayew and Zaha, but yeah, I think those long diagonals will be fewer and more far between without Anderson.
Almiron foul by Wilfried Zaha, and that's a free kick to Newcastle midway inside their own half. The quick release from Nick Pope in goal, not resulting in a counter-attack that time. Shine from Burnley following their relegation. Nick Pope, 11 goals conceded Newcastle this season.
Bad,
that's incredible, isn't it?
It is amazing. I mean, I'd like to find out how many games it took to concede 11 last season.
I should mention as well, one of those games was a 3-3 draw against Manchester City.
Yeah, it's stunning. It's been a triumph for Eddie Howe's coaching and for the new mentality within the group.
Good ball, Almiron, then Longstaff towards Callum Wilson. It's cleared away by the retreating Gay at the near post, not over his own crossbar, but up in the air and over the end line for a corner kick.
Yeah, good play. But it's not just that defensive record isn't just about Pope. It's not just about Botman. I do think that they defend better as a team than anyone. Look at the forwards. They're always on it. In midfield, just so much energy, so much fitness. They work very, very hard, Newcastle. So much harder than they did before. It's for the players that have sort of crossed both eras. It's like it's playing a different sport.
Corner comes in, deep delivery, away by Crystal Palace. Willett picks it up, facing away from goal. Longstaff looks diagonal, tries to find Trippier. Trippier first time back to Dan Burn. I thought Dan Burn was about to volley one home. He volleys it straight into the arms of Guaita. That was right back to left back, and it's a good stop.
That's a brilliant piece of play, isn't it? Beautiful cushion knockdown from Kieran Trippier.
Yeah.
He's on the right corner of the box, Dan Burn, and he hits it one touch on the half volley. Sweet as you like. That's a good effort. Very, very good effort.
That's a push there by Fabian Schär coming out of defence, and he gets a big bit of Jordan Ayew on his way forward there. Sven Botman, forgive me.
What did you think of Dan Burn's dancing in the dressing room? Did you see that the other day? After he scored?
No, terrible. Terrible. I mean, speaking as a tremendous dancer myself, I expect better.
Yeah,
I expect
same
better.
Here, same here. Yeah.
It's a great story after you scored that winning goal in the game you were at.
Well, I was there, and I'll tell you what, the noise was amazing all night. But that moment, it just felt like a really special moment because he's a fan.
Well, did you see that it's one of the only games this year his dad's not been to?
No way.
He told the Times the following day, like, what was it like for your family? It was like, my dad was in Tenerife. Because it was League Cup, so he thought he'd take the week off. Missed his first goal.
But yeah, it felt like a really sort of special moment for the club and for him. And yeah, I like the dance. I like it when the managers get the players up just to embarrass themselves. It's all good.
Here is Dan Burn, king of the disco. He's lost out there. Edouard with the challenge. We're in the middle third of the field. Jordan Ayew does a couple of pirouettes. Well, he's doing the Cotton Eye Joe in the central midfield area, showing my age. And in the end has to bring Newcastle back to Crystal Palace back towards their own penalty area. Felt Out left to Tyrick Mitchell, left-footed forward into Eze, takes the ball nicely in his stride, then gets away from Trippier. Jumps on the ground, Eze. Free kick has been given by Craig Pawson. Patrick Vieira saying, where's the yellow? I'm not too sure there was much of a foul there.
No, I don't get the fuss, I have to say. I think it's a foul. Not every foul's a yellow card. We don't want that sort of game, do we? I mean, Eze's...
I don't think he's run past him and jumped on the ground,
Yeah, I agree.
Is that a foul?
He skipped around him.
Little brush, but he's beaten him.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a foul. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think Pawson's done okay there. I was a bit worried about him last weekend when he took charge of the North London derby. I thought, don't know if he's strong enough, but I thought he had a good game there. And
luckily, Tottenham were completely useless.
Yes, so that did help.
He didn't have much to do, did he, really, to be fair?
Yeah, but he didn't give the customary Spurs pen.
That's true, that is true. Yeah. If that's a thing, I don't know. I'm agreeing with that, Tottenham fans, just to move us on. Don't at me, I don't know if that's a thing.
They've had a lot, way above your average percentage.
If you don't think that's real, let me know, Tottenham fans. At TalkSport Live is the place to do so. It's the former Arsenal man Adrian Clark alongside me.
They know it's real.
We'll find out. The audience knows best. Gay, beautiful diagonal left to right. Joel Ward in space, approaching the offensive third. Right-footed cross, blocked by Joe Linton. That's a throw into Crystal Palace.
And again, look, that's your left winger, back in the left-back spot, covering his mate, making a block on Joel Ward. That's the commitment that Eddie Howe has instilled in each of his players. So, yeah, good defending there. But I think we've got ourselves an even game. Still think Newcastle have been the better side. They've had more of the ball. They've had the only 2 efforts of the game. But Palace are competitive.
Cross comes in from the right-hand side, trying to find Edouard. It's cleared away by a combination of Longstaff and Botman. Out on this near side, it's gone in to touch for a throw-in. You should never have mentioned Everton-Wimbledon 1992. Why did you mention it? For those that missed it earlier on, 3 0-0s in the same season. That's the last time it happened. These two have already had 2 0-0s in the Carabao Cup and the League. Though, to be fair, there was penalties in the Carabao Cup, which Newcastle won. In the League was that controversial weekend where VAR was asleep and it was the Tyrick Mitchell own goal, which should have been given and wasn't.
Yeah, man, that's jogged my memory. That was controversial. Yeah, hopefully we won't get any of that nonsense tonight. I do think that the VAR is improving with Howard Webb at the helm.
Yeah, we'll see. There was a goal at Southampton today, which Saints fans might have an issue with. We'll talk about that maybe at half-time. Good win here by Willock upfield. Finds Callum Wilson in the penalty area, but it always favoured Mark Gay to win it back, which he did. The skipper pops it up long towards Edouard, who tried to flick it on to Ayew, but Botman read it and finds a pass back to Pope.
He always reads it. That's the thing for opposition strikers. He's a very difficult man to get the better of. Excellent anticipation. He's also got a little bit of pace, which you don't always see with players of his size. I think he's been the best left side centre back in the league this season.
Longstaff chips forward. Almiron's got the pace. Schlupp is retreating. Gets his foot in there before Almiron could make his way into the penalty area. Looked like he just knocked it into touch. He's complaining it came off Almiron last. It has been given as a corner. Schlupp not happy about it. I think it might be right on the replay.
I think it comes off Almiron.
Yeah, it's pretty clearly actually.
Yeah, it's poor officiating, and should Newcastle score from this corner, wow, there'll be major complaints. Let's see.
Cross comes in from Trippier, aimed towards Callum Wilson. Bruno has rather cleared it, picked up again by Joe Linton, then clear by Decore with a right-footed swinger up to the halfway line. When Newcastle can retake possession again, Crystal Palace are trying to push up on them, but just unable to do so at this moment in time. And Fabian Schär can run down the left wing here, and Joe Linton's run on, and here he is now. Joe Linton with a right-footed drive, which is on target, but didn't quite get enough meat behind it, and it bobbles through to the goalkeeper Goita.
Oh, it's really weak, isn't it? He just drives inside Joel Ward. It's poor defending from the right back. Schär does superbly, just sort of rolls it into his path. Right back is all at sea, and you think just curl it into the far corner, and it's a really feeble effort straight into the goalkeeper's arms. Let off that for Palace.
He was a striker when they brought him in from Hoffenheim, as everyone knows. Joe Linton, 2 in 6, so he's found his goal-scoring touch again, but it's not someone you'd maybe bet on if he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper.
No, he's not a clinical finisher, Joe Linton, but but he's found a role within the team, hasn't he? That where he can use those other qualities, the hard work, the power, the ball-winning qualities, and offer plenty without necessarily scoring every week. So, yeah, I'm pleased for him that he's still there basically, and he's part of this new era. And I've got to say, he's nailed on to start each game.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about it, Joel Linton.
Well, he started 41 of 46 under Eddie Howe before this one. Only he and Fabian Schär have got a record of that calibre of appearances. Willock with a miscontrol, but it finds Wilson, then on from Bruno, trying to find Willock's run, but it's overhit from the Brazilian. And it's all the way through to Guaita in fluorescent lime green, right to our left. It's 21 minutes on the clock. It's 0-0 between Crystal Palace and Newcastle United on Premier League Live. And Adrian, it's been very even so far, really.
It has, yeah. I think Newcastle will be happier. Palace haven't had a shot yet.
Yep.
Newcastle, I think, have had 4. So they look the stronger outfit. They look slicker. I think I'm struggling for reasons for Eagles fans to feel optimistic that they're going to win this game based on what we've seen so far.
Well, defending well, though, what I say
They
is
are.
Chris
Yeah,
Richards reads this through ball here and clears it before Willock can get there.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem defensively. Obviously, Gurhi's on that yellow card, it might be an issue. He's going to have to be careful. So there might be an onus on Richards to be slightly more aggressive than his partner. He really has to stand off. But no, it's even, but I think we know who the stronger side are. You can tell that Newcastle United are way ahead of Palace in the table.
And here's Fabian Schär out on manoeuvres from centre-back here, and he finds a ball out right towards Trippier, on towards Almiron, intercepted by the retreating Mitchell over on that far side, the Crystal Palace left back, and that's a corner for Newcastle United. Taken quickly, trying to find Byrne, away by Ward, brought down by Willock. Left of centre, 30 yards from goal, players ahead of him, chips it out right, on by Trippier, he'll find Almiron, on to Longstaff, deflection on its way through, makes it a touch more tricky for Newcastle, but they keep it, and knock it back to Sven Botman, then Trippier, then Bruno. First time pass around the corner to Almiron, then to Longstaff, cleared by Mitchell. Botman gets there before Edouard, and Newcastle take it again. Knock it back to Nick Pope, all in light yellow away to our right.
Yeah, what Palace need is Edouard to hold the ball up. Now, he hasn't really had much service until this point, but when the ball does come in his direction, he's got to work harder to say, bang, I'm going to keep hold of this ball, and Eze, come and join in. Zaha, are you? But it's almost as if they've got no striker up top at the moment, nothing sticking at all.
Trippier down the line, Almiron runs in field from the right hand side, driving forward, Wilson on the turn, Gay with the interception, Mitchell with a poke away, but again Palace can't keep it. It was towards Zaha this time, but Newcastle are able to take the ball back in towards Byrne, who'll find Sven Botman square, and it's almost become attack versus defence in the last 5 minutes or so this game. Thus far, defence doing well for Crystal Palace, but you get the feeling it's going to get worse and worse in that regard as the game goes on for Palace.
Could do. I'd like to see a bit more aggression from Palace, in terms of looking to win the ball back inside the opposition half.
Well, there's a good win there from Schlupp. He's been fouled having won it, which the referee didn't like there. I think it was Bruno who following through on the tackle.
That is more like it, you're right though. A little bit of bite about a Palace player there. They've been a bit too nice, haven't they? In the first 24 minutes of this game, Crystal Palace.
Doesn't that surprise you, isn't their manager Patrick Vieira?
Yeah, exactly. It does surprise me. I think it's all well and good trying to change the style and make Palace more football inside, to play out from the back, etc. But you've also got to, I think, know where you're at in the food chain, and Palace can't outplay sides with much bigger budgets. They're going to have to do the basics better than everyone else to get themselves into a top half finish. Got to be more aggressive, got to be better without the ball than they've been.
25 minutes gone. Goalless, Crystal Palace, Newcastle United. A reminder, we're back with you tomorrow on Premier League Live. 2 feature games, Manchester City against Wolverhampton Wanderers, followed by Arsenal against Manchester United. Also commentary of Leeds against Brentford for our online and digital partners. before a break for the FA Cup, unfortunately, for a fortnight before we're back with the Premier League. Yay. Chip forward there by Palace, cleared away by Newcastle. Gay has then been rather clattered into as he won the ball back. I thought he might get a free kick there, but it's actually just gone for a throw to Newcastle over on the far side.
Yeah, this time next week I've been booked for Accrington or Boreham Wood v Leeds.
Oh, lovely.
So I don't know where I'm going yet.
Hey.
It's going to be a replay in midweek. Could be up north, it could be down south.
You could be the only one there. Palace, sorry.
Yeah, I hope I get the right ground.
Palace with the ball back in their own half, but not for long. Newcastle now break with Willock over the halfway line. Direct play from Joe Willock. He'll find Joe Linton. Newcastle up on the edge of the Crystal Palace penalty area. Willock with a couple of shimmies and step-overs and tries to take on Joel Ward on the outside, but runs over the end line and then puts his hands to his head as if he knows he could have done significantly better there. Yeah,
he's frustrated, but I wouldn't criticise him if I was the manager. He's being positive. He's trying to take on his man. I think he's been really bright, actually, Joe Willock, in the opening stages of this match. Always wanting the ball. Sharp, knocking it off 1 and 2 touch. I think he's been very lively. If you're going to keep on taking your man every now and again, you're going to run the ball out for a goal kick, which is what happened there.
Any concern the goals are drying up a little bit for Newcastle? Didn't score against Leeds, didn't score against Arsenal, won against Fulham late.
Definitely, yes. Obviously a concern. You can't keeping. You can't carry on keeping clean sheets the rest of the season. They're going to drop points, aren't they? Unless they rediscover their goal scoring form. So no, you want a bit more. Almiron is the hot streak. Is that it? Is it over now? Can Joel Linton continue scoring? Callum Wilson's been a bit more quiet, hasn't he? It's Isak that's come on and made some contributions in recent weeks. You want a few more goals maybe from Guimaraes as well. So, and Willock, the aforementioned Willock, we know he's a goal scorer. Probably not scoring enough, is he? So, yeah, no, it's a concern, and that's the area I think Eddie Howe will be looking to build on next. 6
Premier League goals for Callum Wilson. This is 13th start this season. Not those scored since the 4-0 victory over Aston Villa back in October pre-World Cup. So you wonder, Alexander Isak, now he's fit after that bright start followed by injury he picked up. You wonder how long that change might take to happen in terms of starting games.
Yeah, and I think he's missed a few chances as well. On stats-wise, on expected goals or non-penalty expected goals, he's third per 90 minutes in the Premier League. Haaland's number 1. No one would be surprised to hear that.
Big gap.
Darwin Nunez is number 2.
Oh, right.
I mean, he has a lot of chances. Number 3 is Callum Wilson. So he gets the service. I don't think he's maybe scored as many as he should have done.
Trippier's forward pass here has been intercepted by Crystal Palace, who are looking to counter, but Zaha carried forward into Edouard, who turned away from an offensive situation. Crystal Palace then try and keep it in the middle third of the field. Left to Mitchell, challenge Almiron, throw in Palace, just in front of Jason Tindall and Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe standing there quietly as ever. Jason Tindall screaming at everyone.
They are a proper double act, aren't they? Jason Tindall just gets on everybody's nerves and lets Eddie just concentrate on the match. He winds everyone up, I think, down in that technical area, Tindall.
Lovely footwork by Joe Linton, forward pass through to Callum Wilson, who's turned beautifully, then runs into Gay, and that's a free kick, and that is potentially a problem for Gay. You mentioned it earlier on, he's on a yellow card for those that weren't with us earlier on. The referee giving him a talking to here. It's not a great challenge. I think it's one where Callum Wilson has drawn Gay in, but
it's obstruction.
That's on the line.
Yep, it's on the line. That's exactly what it is. You've seen them give, and he sticks out his left arm.
I think that's a yellow card.
I do. I think he's lucky not to be sent off here. If I'm Patrick Vieira, it's in my thoughts now. But what's he going to do? Read a valve, maybe?
Well, he might be thinking about the Fulham game where they had 2 men sent off and lost comfortably here, and think, I can't do that again.
And when he is short of centre halves, that is the concern.
Yep.
He might
have
to put Tyrick Mitchell as a centre half and potentially bring on a fullback. There's no obvious.
Well, he hasn't been yellow, Palace fan, so you're all right for the minute. but it will be going through Vieira's head, I'm sure, as Crystal Palace defend this free kick here. I'm just breaking away from that conversation because Kieran Trippier's on the ball 30 yards out.
Yes, yeah, we have to.
And that's an issue.
You have to respect that.
That's an issue.
He's an excellent free kick taker. What can he do here? He's certainly going to shoot. No, he isn't.
Oh, they've gone quick and they've gone to Bruno and he's clips it in and it's cleared away. Willock with a volley forward and it finds its way into the Holmesdale Road end behind the goal.
Should have shot.
Should have shot.
What's he thinking? I mean, it's in rage. It's quite a clever routine. Tyreek Mitchell does brilliantly actually to drop back in and deal with it. He clears the danger. But why overcomplicate it when you've got one of the best dead ball takers in the division, central, 30 yards out? Crazy.
His last 5 goals for Club and Country have all been free kicks, including the 2018 World Cup semi-final, of course. He hasn't scored that many, but you know, you're not always James Ward-Prowse. You get 2-3 a season. The one against Man City was superb earlier this campaign. A little break here because Eze has gone down, some sort of right ankle issue. It has allowed Patrick Vieira to get Wilfried Zaha and Jordan Nye, when in fact almost all the outfield players around him here in the technical area. Eddie Howe now copying him on the other side. As Eze gets treatment, so we'll have plenty of injury time come the end of this half.
Just looking at Mark Gurr, he's having a right go at the linesman, and I think he's got to be really careful. For me, it was a deserved yellow, the first one. The second one, he gets away with it. I'd be keeping quiet in his shoes. I'd be keeping a very low profile. I think one more foul and he's off. So if I'm the gaffer, I'm nervous about that. Very nervous.
Speaking of being nervous, you are a big Arsenal man, of course, a man who played for the club and still works for them as a broadcaster and analyst. Man United tomorrow, how are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. Yeah, it's an opportunity to beat one of the main rivals, potentially for the title. And after City's comeback, the narrative is now, City are going to come back. They're going to go on this amazing winning run now, and they might. But Arsenal were superb, I thought, in the North London derby. That first half was as dominant as I've seen any team this season in a big game. And it'll be hard. It'll be a harder game, I think, for Arsenal than it was at Spurs, but confident.
Very good at Spurs, though, weren't they?
Very good.
Oh,
yeah, really
superb performance.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. But Arsenal have only dropped 2 points at Emirates Stadium this season. Obviously, they were against Newcastle in that goalless draw, and again, on the balance of play, they play that game 10 times, you probably win it 8 times. So it's a bit of a fortress. So I think Man United will be more nervous about it than Arsenal.
That's tomorrow.
I'm excited. I'll be there. It should be fun.
Adrian will be working there with Arsenal here on Premier League Live. We'll have Toby Gillis and Paul Parker, the former Manchester United man, covering the game for you. That follows City against Wolves. We're back underway here. Eze is up and at 'em, and Palace are coming forward with Ayew. Tries to cut one back towards Edouard. Cleared, not particularly far. Joel Ward has found a pass in field, but it's gone straight to Callum Wilson, who burst through Schlupp and Doucouré, but then lost out to Richards. Gay with a terrible forward pass here to Longstaff, and Newcastle can get the break going again. Almiron against Schlupp, holds him up for a bit, then gets a good challenge in. Mark Gay looking very rattled right now. This is not the player we're used to seeing.
No, his mind's not on the game. His head's scrambled. And it's unfair, isn't it, on Chris Richards, Premier League rookie, alongside him. Gay's supposed to be the senior partner, the one that's supposed to be there to nurse him through, but like you said, his head is all over the place. There's a big responsibility now on Richards to stay calm and to maybe guide that defence.
It's not a throw here, it's actually a free kick given to Newcastle. Longstaff was taken out off the ball by the retreating Tyreek Mitchell, and so it's a free kick here to Newcastle, about 5 over the halfway, which again Trippier takes short. Longstaff chips it in, cleared away by Richards, forward by Willock, brought down in the area. Callum Wilson, players around him, chance for a shot, maybe Bruno, onto Almiron. Zaha just pips it off his toes before Almiron could turn it goal bound. Corner for Newcastle United.
Yeah, it's good defending, last ditch. Really good footwork actually from the Newcastle players. They win the second ball. Cher does excellently, and then it's a little triangle, pop. Guimaraes tees up Almiron for the shot, but Zaha, excellent tracking back from him. They've got to deal with another corner. There's been a few of these.
Trippier's delivery in towards the near post, turned towards goal, away by Ward, shot by Joe Linton, saved on the line by the goalkeeper Guaita, then cleared by a Palace.
Is there a handball in there? Joe Linton's appealing it.
Newcastle stopped the counter and they've won it back. Willock's gone down, free kick goes the way of Eddie Howe's team. Home crowd don't like it. Willock has stayed down. Not sure if he's really injured or he's put a bit of sauce on the goose here, so I'll wait to see the replay, but there's a few Newcastle players not so happy.
Well, there's a few appealing for a handball here. Let's have another look at the replay on our monitor. The ball falls to Joe Linton. He hits it early. It definitely hits the hand of Mitchell, but I wouldn't give a penalty for this.
That's a natural position.
It's a natural. He actually
down by his side.
Yeah, it's down by his. He's tucked it in. It's a good save.
Yeah.
It nicks off his hand, and then Guaita stays big and managed to shovel the ball away. No way I'd be given a penalty for this.
It isn't a subject of a long VAR check, so it isn't going to be a penalty. The delay here in resumption is because Willock has stayed down for a little while. Not getting any notification, they are looking at it, so it's just a free kick to Newcastle right hand side at 10 over the halfway. Once again Trippier's over it, he's declined to cross every time, not this time though. Deep delivery in, one in the air by Richards, down into his own penalty area there. Botman is still battling for the ball and he's won a corner for his team. Oh no, he hasn't. Well, I don't think the referee had a clue what to give there, and so he's given it goal kick just by guessing. I think
so. Yeah, he just guessed at it. Yeah, Botman was strong. Let's have a look. It comes off a Palace player, doesn't it? It's a definite corner.
Yeah.
We all saw it. He couldn't believe it, could he?
Well, revenge for earlier on when the wrong decision was given the other way.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't it?
They even out over the season, some would say.
Some say. I'm not always sure.
Not for Tottenham penalties in Adrian Clark's view, but apart from that they do. Big blast upfield by Guaita to nowhere. Someone's gone down here for Newcastle in the centre circle. Might be Botman in there. He's got his hands over his face and I can't see the number on his shirt. I think it is Botman jumping with Ayew from that clearance. We're just seeing the replay on our monitors. Nothing's really happened here, I don't think, to Botman.
Oh, he's trodden his toe.
Oh, is he? Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's just trodden his toe. I mean, they hurt. I used to get it all the time when I played.
But you had the thick leather boots. They're wearing all knitted gloves these days.
This is true. But I often had to. Almost always had a bruised foot of some description. You used to have to wear padding. It's so annoying.
It hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Not much padding there, is there, on the top of your foot? So,
no.
It's just a footballer thing. You're going to get that kind of injury all the time.
Botman's all right, but he's tried a crossfield ball here that nearly got intercepted by Wilfred Zaha, who did get something on it, but he couldn't keep the ball. Trippier's miscontrolled that over on the far side, allowing a break potentially to be on here, but the forward ball to Zaha is intercepted by Newcastle, who can come away with it again. Bruno under no real pressure, even though he wouldn't have felt it, as he found a release out left there, calm as ever from Bruno. And Joe Linton takes on Ward on the end line. Ward gets back at him. Here's Willock crossfield, clever ball. Almiron brings it down. Almiron shoots a goal, but it's not a great shot. It's not a great cross. It's not anything really, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, he's better than that. Mickey Almiron. It's good power from Joe Linton down the left. Ward's clearance is poor. Beautiful pass, I've got to say, from Joe Willock. Lovely little pick out for Almiron. He just spins the ball over to him. Brilliant first touch. The second touch was the shot, and it's 10 yards wide. Poor.
Yeah, there are just a few light concerns here for Newcastle United in terms of creating chances, scoring goals following their recent run. Up next for them, they've got the Carabao Cup to come against Southampton. Out of the FA Cup, of course. So the next game against Southampton follows, the second leg of that semi-final, because it inexplicably goes to two legs in the semi-final. Then at home against West Ham, who won today, away to Bournemouth, home against Liverpool, and then Brighton, then City. Tough. Could be tough.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Not easy, but
they're good. So
they're a good team. I think even though they're not ahead here, you can see that they're a class outfit. They are better than Tottenham. They are better than Liverpool this season. They're better than Chelsea. They're in the top four on merit. It's not fluke.
And they're trying to qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah.
Which would be ahead of schedule for
totally ahead
Public
of schedule.
Investment Fund.
Totally ahead of schedule. And what a good opportunity it is for them, with the other clubs that I just mentioned being in a bit of a state at the moment. All they've got to do is sort of match what they've done so far. But they're going to lose more games, but do the best they can to match the points tally from the first half of the season, and they'll get there easy.
Crystal Palace into Newcastle territory. 40 minutes gone. It's 0-0 between the Eagles and Magpies. Battle of the Birds. That's how bored I am. I just come up with that ridiculous tagline.
Yeah, I mean, no one. Yeah, an eagle is a more likeable bird than a magpie.
It?
Yeah, of course it is.
Aren't magpies lucky if you see two of them?
Yeah.
An eagle could take your eye out.
I think magpies are horrible, aren't they?
Ooh, I
I
don't
think
know.
they're the best. Yeah.
Who aren't you going to offend on today's programme? There's ornithologists out there furious at you.
Eagles, they're such a handsome bird, aren't they?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But would you rather have an eagle or a magpie as a pet?
Oh, an eagle. Yeah, all day long.
Cost you a fortune in just meat alone.
Yeah, I wouldn't want one. Wouldn't want either, just for the record.
And actually, it's a good point because if you're going to get one magpie, you've got to get two, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's 2 cages.
That's if you're
it's the whole thing.
superstitious. Yeah. Here we go.
Down the line to Jordan Ayew. Botman gets his body in the way and finds a pass back to Nick Pope. Crystal Palace just not got their offensive game going in this game at all so far. Just the one shot off target to this point. 7 from Newcastle, 3 on goal. A couple could have gone in.
Touches in the box tells the story. Two
Forward here to Edouard. Won't get one here.
2 touches inside the Newcastle box. You're at home. It's a big game. And they've offered very little. Newcastle have had 21 at the other end of the pitch. That is not an unfair reflection of the way the pattern of this game has gone.
There's a lot coming down this left-hand side for Newcastle. They're really going after Joel Ward and Chris Richards' side. There's Willock away from Eze. Deep delivery in. Mitchell will clear. Trippier then infield towards Bruno. Longstaff. Back towards the halfway line and Cher will then find Botman, who's still just shaking off the effects of that stud on the knitted boot, the Dutch defender. 8 clean sheets in his last 12 appearances, 4 goals conceded since he's got back into the team after a little issue at the start of the campaign. Incredible record they've had since he's come to the club. He's got this run alongside Fabian Cher. Trippier and Zaha battling for a loose ball in midfield. Off Trippier into the waiting arms of Patrick Vieira. The Crystal Palace boss on the edge of his technical area.
Screaming, isn't he? He's not happy. Look, he's saying, come on more. And I understand his frustration. The crowd here, pretty quiet.
The drum's going though, that's good.
The drum is going, but the players are giving them nothing to shout about. I know it's goalless. They're in the game, but they could, I think, be doing so much better.
Well, Patrick Vieira agrees with you, but at the moment, not a great deal coming from Crystal Palace, all coming from Newcastle, and Callum Wilson could be in here, over the top, in the area. Richards holds him up very well. Wilson had to hook it back towards Almiron, who's then caught by the retreating Zaha. And that's a free kick which goes Newcastle's way. Forgive me, it was Eze with the final challenge, and that's going to be a free kick to Newcastle United once again. On the right-hand side for Trippier to look to whip in.
They're getting a few. They're racking up these free kicks, aren't they? Sooner or later, Trippier's going to put one on the money. It was a bit reckless from.
He's going nowhere, is he, Almiron there?
Yeah, he's going backwards. It's a lazy sort of lunge in from Eze. Definitely one of those forwards tackles, and Trippier. You don't want to be giving those away against Newcastle. Cher and Botman and massive Solskjaer Linton.
Trippier, right-footed delivery. Ricochets off Fabian Cher there as 3 Crystal Palace players seem to miss it, but it's just gone through to Guaita with no great risk on the Crystal Palace goal. Immediately won back by Willock on the halfway, who chips it past Ayew to himself, and then carries midway inside Crystal Palace territory. Possession 60-40 in Newcastle's favour, nudging up all the time, that statistic, as they chip one forward towards Willock. Richards wins it back and can be brought away in midfield by Doucouré, over the top to Wilfried Zaha. There's still a goal here. Trippier's with him, Botman is with him. Chance to turn the ball towards goal from Edouard. I think Newcastle are expecting a late flag to go up here. Wilfried Zaha's looking for a penalty, and I don't think either are going to be happy.
it's a really well-timed run. Newcastle hold the line for offside, and he's on Wilfried Zaha. In the end, Trippier does ever so well, makes not one block but two. He gets back in on Zaha, does very well actually not to foul Wilfried Zaha, who does a Wilfried Zaha and falls to the ground. Then he makes a block, Trippier, from the follow-up.
Is it all concerned for Wilfried Zaha that maybe the pace of his younger days isn't quite there? There was one against Man United the other night. Wan-Bissaka got back then. Corner comes in here. Chance! Oh, it's Richards. And it's over the top. It's a brilliant chance for the American international. He's 10 yards out, maybe a touch closer. It's a free header. It's got to be on target. It's over the crossbar.
Yeah, he gets himself free really, really well. It's Botman that's marking him, and he escapes through the pack. Very cleverly does Chris Richards, but the header's rubbish, isn't it? He's leaning back. It goes upwards. Never any chance of him hitting the target there, and he beats the ground in frustration. He knows that was a free header. 8 yards out. You've got to do better there.
Terrific chance for Chris Richards, a man who many fear was going to be the long-term replacement for Tim Ream at the heart of the US men's national team defence, with the World Cup hosting coming up in just a few years' time.
He's got a chance, hasn't he? I mean, he's had a good first half, actually. He's read play a few times. There's been a lot of questions asked of him down that side, because they've absolutely targeted Joel Ward, Newcastle United. But Richards not made a mistake, I don't think, in the game until this point. That poor attacking header is really the only thing that I could criticise him for.
Solid, I thought, against Man United the other day as well.
Yeah.
So Anderson remains a big miss at the heart of the Crystal Palace defence. So we're going to have 2 minutes added on. In fact, we're nearly at the end of the 2 minutes, at the end of the opening 45 here, with Joe Willock on the ball in the central midfield area. And that's it for the opening 45 minutes, where there's been no goals and no massive chances, really. A couple of decent openings for Newcastle, which they couldn't capitalise on. Crystal Palace missing a chance there. Adrian, all square after 45.
Yeah, I think Newcastle have been significantly the better team, but haven't really tested Vicente Guaita often enough. It's been the final decision making, the final effort that's been, off the mark from their point of view. For Palace, they've huffed and they've puffed. There's been plenty of effort, but not enough quality on show for the hosts.
Half time, Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to give it to our lesser cousins. Yes, and the moon's made of cheese, right?
Clash of the Simon.
second half. In the penalty areas, Longstaff, chance here at the back post, maybe for Callum Wilson. Controls it, can he shoot? Delays it a bit too long. Tries to find the overlapping runner, Dan Burn, and Crystal Palace get the ball clear. And in fact, there's a Palace player down here, I think Decore in midfield. And so there's a break in play there. Didn't see what happened to him, Adrian, but a very high energy start there from Newcastle United.
Great start, really on the front foot. Yeah, there was a 50-50 in the middle of the park. Referee didn't see a foul. It is Decore. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, Callum Wilson. It's just a coming together, really. I think they were both injured a little bit by it. I think Decore actually fouls Wilson, but injures himself in the process. And then they carried on playing, rightly so. And in the end, I think Longstaff should shoot. He's about 7 yards out on the angle. I think he should just lash it across the face of goal. In the end, he pulls it back for Callum Wilson, who takes too many touches, and they were able to clear. But yeah, really positive, proactive start to the half from Eddie Howe's side.
Well, that's the high energy start to the second half coming to an end with this issue here for Decore. But it's certainly what Eddie Howe would have wanted from his team following a 45 minutes where they were undoubtedly the better of the two teams, but didn't create anything particularly clear cut. Decore looks like he's going to be alright, brought over to this near side. Callum Wilson there in the penalty area. Just a thought on him. We mentioned his kind of goal drought, not scored from October, and I think a more confident Callum Wilson might have got something away there a bit quicker.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he's in the most confident form. Yeah, you look at Isak and you think, well, he must be on the verge of taking his place in the starting lineup. I would not be surprised if Eddie Howe made an earlier than usual change in that department tonight. Maybe on the hour mark we might see Isak for Wilson. So yeah, he's under pressure a little bit, I think, the England striker.
We're back underway, 48 minutes gone, Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0. Newcastle win the ball midway inside Crystal Palace territory, but Wilson and Willock couldn't combine there to create anything of note. And at the other end, Crystal Palace looked to break away with Eze down the left wing, up against Trippier, edge of the penalty area, lovely run, pokes it forward, cleared away, recovered by Decore, who's back on, into Schlupp, challenged by Longstaff, pass back towards the halfway line, and Gay, better from Crystal Palace, getting some bodies in Newcastle territory here. Crossfield to Joel Ward, who's got forward, he'll take on Byrne, lobs it infield, cleared away over on that far side by Botman, into touch for a throw.
Yeah, we spoke ahead of kick-off about using the power and pace of Zaha and Ayew in the wide flanks, looking to get behind the fullbacks. Dan Burn, not the best on the turn. We haven't done it once, have they, Crystal Palace?
Nope.
They've not done anything to hurt this Newcastle United side at all, which is why I would certainly be looking towards the bench if I was Patrick Vieira. I think Elise is the obvious change, but there's not a lot else on there. The squad depth is a little bit thin, you have to say, at the moment here at Selhurst Park.
Ball is with Gay, who clips it upfield, but it's straight to Fabian Cher, who's waiting for it. His quick forward ball towards Joe Linton's intercepted by Ward, and Ayew can turn forward. 3 yards over the halfway line, nowhere to go for him. He has to pass back on the ground, some 20 yards back to Joel Ward there. There was no forward ball on for him. Yeah. You could hear the home crowd, what they felt about it.
Yeah, they're not. I think they're really enjoying this, the Crystal Palace fans. He goes on another mazy dribble. Got to be careful not to overrun those and dive in again.
He's done well to find Edouard this time, who can turn forward for Palace and carry them upfield towards the penalty area. Ward overlapping, here he is now. Cut back straight to Bruno Guimaraes, who can intercept with ease there, really, and Joe Linton can come away with it into Callum Wilson.
Such good play, wasn't it? But Guimaraes, he's there. What's he doing there? He's a guy that is everywhere. It's wonderful tracking back from him.
Trippier into Almiron right to Trippier. Trippier's crossing. Wilson gets there first, but the second chance there to swing the boot at the ball, it just bounced up in the air to him, and then the offside flag goes up anyway somewhere in there, I think, for the overlapping runner.
Yeah, just going back to that chance for Palace. It was a really well-timed overlap from Ward, and yeah, it was a good cutback. but Guimaraes was there at the near post to sort of mop up, and that's what he does. He does both sides of a midfielder's job really, really effectively.
5 minutes going in the second half. Goalless here between Crystal Palace and Newcastle United. Goita with the blast upfield. Header by Edouard, randomly into nowhere in particular. Newcastle can clear it long up to Callum Wilson. Eze wins the next header. Next one by Fabian Schär, with the Newcastle try and bring the ball down. 5 minutes going in the second half already. And Newcastle trying to carry the ball forward down the left-hand side. Bruno on to Byrne. Byrne's early cross right across the back of Crystal Palace's defence. It's cleared by Mitchell in the left-back area. Only as far as Kieran Trippier has got some time here and space to pick somebody out. He's gone short to Almiron. Almiron in towards Willock. Willock right-footed cross. Cleared up in the air from Gay, not for long. All this being Crystal Palace territory, as once again it's won back by Bruno and Schär and Botman across the back line, and Byrne will take it again. Over on the far side, it's with Joe Linton. Good power from Joe Linton on the run here. Gets to the end line, into Callum Wilson, back to goal. Wants to lay it up to someone. Bruno with a cross on the left-hand side. Blocked by Chris Richards, who stayed with him. Corner kick to Newcastle United.
Yeah, he's got way too much power, hasn't he, Joe Linton, for Joel Ward. He's really struggling. That's a great run. Nice touch from Callum Wilson. Support run from Guimaraes. And it's decent defending from Palace, but it's another corner for Newcastle United. They're turning the screw here, and we know the deliveries will be good.
Well, taking it short again. And now it is whipped in from the angle. Chance for Callum Wilson. Free header. He's only 8 yards out, and it's a looping nothing effort, really, straight to the goalkeeper.
Well, that's the big chance. A huge chance for Newcastle United. Trippier's cross is perfect, and Callum Wilson is free. He's 7 yards out, and it's a really weak header. Too loopy.
Big clearance up to the far side, where Byrne heads it into the centre of the field. Once again, Crystal Palace can't do much with it. Takore's been dispossessed. Forward by Joe Linton towards Willock. Easily won back by Takore. Willock could rather run away from it. Edouard on, blocked there by Botman. Picked up by Takore again for Crystal Palace, and right to Jordan Ayew. Looks to take on Byrne. Joe Linton and Willock chasing the ball down. And it's back towards the halfway line, where Richards finds Gay. Gay looks out left to Tyrick Mitchell. Clip down the line towards Zaha. Couldn't get on the end of it. And it's out for a throw on this near side. Schär was the man covering Zaha that time.
Yeah, just having another look at the replay. Such bad defending. He starts on the goal line and he just drifts onto the 6 yard line. Callum Wilson, unmarked, no one near him.
I'm not quite sure he's meant to be marking him, really, and Palace didn't seem to know.
No, well, he was one of those. He was in there as an irritant to go and stand on the goalie's toes, and then he just peeled out, and it was a great opportunity. Just didn't generate any power. You wonder whether Joe Linton, who was right behind him, should have screamed a bit louder and said it was his ball. He was the one coming onto it, whereas Wilson was sort of backing off. Maybe that's why he couldn't generate the pace on the header. But that's as close, I think, as Newcastle have come.
Shot here from Takore from distance, blocked by Willock. Joe Linton will pick it up over on the far side. Willock under pressure from Richards. Richards has won it back. Then Byrne will win it back after a clip into nowhere in particular. On towards Callum Wilson. Straight through to Goita. I think it's fair to say the quality's not there right now.
Not great. I do think probably Newcastle they've at least been as good as Manchester United were here the other night in terms of domination and whatnot. But Man United have got that bit more quality. They've got more options, haven't they, in terms of match winners than Newcastle United. But, you know, if you're looking for a gauge, you'd say that Newcastle aren't far off of Manchester United.
As they on towards Edouard. Not a great ball again from Crystal Palace, trying to find a gap in between the Newcastle defenders. To be fair, there aren't many gaps between the Newcastle defenders this season to exploit. Here's Joe Linton back to goal, trying to create something. He'll find Bruno in the centre of the field. Fire one into Longstaff. Couldn't really turn that one into a dangerous scenario. And Palace look to capitalise. Over the top to Wilfried Zaha. Can he get there before Cher? No, he can't. Once again, Fabian Cher has read it well and knocks it into the stands.
Yeah, those are the passes that I was talking about. Clip it over the fullback for the speed merchants down the sides. But it was the right idea there, and the execution of the pass was fine. But Cher read it very well. And I think that's the thing about these two centre-halves, Cher and Botman. They're clever. They can absolutely see things happening before the forwards.
Palace have to go long back again to their goalkeeper Guaita, which leads to one or two groans from the crowd. Nice flick on there by Eze to find Edouard. Gets away from Trippier and Cher. Forward ball. Trippier just pokes it away from Eze to his goalkeeper who clears it. Some shouts of handball from the Homesdale Road end. Not quite sure where that may have been. That's not great from Tyrick Mitchell. Almiron has nicked it. There's a bit of space here for Newcastle if they can exploit it. It's right to left to Joe Linton. Two runners. Joe Linton still going. Gets a shot on target. But once again, Newcastle fire a shot straight at the goalkeeper.
He's a bit greedy there, isn't he? It's a lovely switch of play to Joe Linton. He's got Willock. He's got Byrne. Both making lung-busting runs around him. And he says, nah, I'm not going to play either of you in. I'm going to have a shot here. And it was okay, but never looked like beating Guaita.
Zaha's gone down wanting a free kick here from Trippier, and I think he's going to get one here from Craig Pawson. I'm a bit surprised about that, and I think a yellow card coming for Kieran Trippier too for the challenge. I didn't think there was much in that.
No, me neither. Is it a totting up process? I'm not sure. I mean, it's Zaha, isn't it? So Zaha, you just have to touch the guy and he goes to ground. He's been doing it for years. I've had a bit of stick from people for constantly repeating it, but it always happens.
Yeah,
he is a player that goes to ground as a matter of course, and he's got Trippier, but I think if I'm the right back, I'm a bit annoyed about that. Very little done wrong.
58 minutes on the clock. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0 on Premier League Live. Ball in the centre of the field, brought down by Jordan Ayew over on the far side, right in front of his coach, Patrick Vieira. Nice bit of footwork to find a pass back to Toure. He carries up towards the halfway line. Bruno with him, back to Schlupp. Left now to Tyrick Mitchell. On towards Zaha. First time pass forward to Eze. Runs away from Trippier into Edouard in the penalty area. Looks to return it to Wilfried Zaha, but that's not so clever. And now Wilfried Zaha's gone down here. Off the ball. I think he tried to start running forward, and then I think something's gone here for Wilfried Zaha. He is not happy. Punches the turf. Looked to me like maybe a little tweak of a muscle somewhere for Wilfried Zaha.
He's gutted, isn't he? He's feeling his hamstring. There's an anguish pain on his face. I think he knows that his race has run. He's right on the touchline, so he's going to have to roll off as well. This is Wilfried Zaha done, I think, for the game and probably for a few weeks. It's a nice give and go.
It's a terrible return ball to him.
It's a really bad return
pass. Does that affect him pulling
his
muscle? No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. He's not really on a full sprint, Wilfried Zaha. I think he must have felt it as he made the sprint from the give and go, and he knows what's happened. He's done his hammy.
Well, they're trying to stretch it out over on the far side, so potentially it's a tweak. But I mean, you don't tend to run off a hamstring issue at all.
You don't,
especially if you're the winger as well. We'll see how that goes. At the moment, as we get to 60 minutes and the score 0-0, Wilfried Zaha is off the field. Up next for Crystal Palace is a return game against Manchester United at Old Trafford, then Brighton, then Brentford, then Liverpool. So not the easiest of games if Wilfried Zaha is to be missing. Here's Bruno Guimaraes trying to take advantage of Palace being down to 10 men in the area. Right across the goal. At the back post, no one was there to turn it home. Joel Ward was there to clear.
It's a teaser, wasn't it? From Guimaraes. He gets into the box. We know he does that. It's a really poor header from Gay. And then it's neither a cross nor a shot, really. But it was into a dangerous area. Ward panicked and the corner was conceded. Nothing came of that corner, but the pressure is maintained by Newcastle, swarming all over the Eagles here.
On the right hand side, Cher forward, right across the edge of the penalty area. Needs a release, it hits the referee, and that's going to be a drop ball which Newcastle are going to get here. Wilfried Zaha is now up and he's running along the sideline. I mean, they're going to try and bring him on, and I suppose it might be worth the risk because there's no one else even near the quality of Wilfried Zaha.
Well, this is true. Yeah, I mean, Elise is an option for today, but
it's all built around Zaha, though, isn't it? Everything they do.
It is, yeah, and it's been built around him for too long. I think it might be better for next season for him to have a new challenge. He's out of contract, of course, and maybe for Palace to move on from him as well.
Clip into Almiron in the penalty area, runs out of the box with the ball at feet, left to Byrne, on to Joe Linton. Willock just outside the area. Richards forces him away from goal. Picked up by Joe Linton, then to Willock, then to Joe Linton again. Botman square, Fabian Schär chips one in, Trippier in the box, end line right hand side, cuts it back, trying to find Longstaff. It's looped up in the air by a retreating Palace leg. Corner for Newcastle on the right hand side.
The pressure is incessant now, they can't handle it. Great ball from Schär to Trippier, and Richards does it ever so well. He's the one that anticipates the cutback from Kieran Trippier. I think he can hold his head up high here today. Chris Richards has been another good performance from him. Out for another corner, but he's denied a near certain goal there.
Corner on the attacking right hand side for Newcastle United. 62 minutes gone. Trippier's ball in. Chance is a free header again, this time for Botman. And it's 6 yards out and he's put it wide.
You do wonder, is it just not their day? Newcastle United. It's another free header, as you rightly point out. He gets in behind Schlupp. I mean, he's well challenged by Edouard. He's not far away. It's kind of unlucky. Just an inch or two wide of the post, but yeah, no surprise here. Zaha's down.
Yeah, he simply can't continue Wilfried Zaha. I mean, trying to run off a hamstring issue is odd.
What are they thinking? Like, the physio's just got to be a bit stronger there and say, look, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Even if Vieira says, come on, give it a go, it's counterproductive.
I assume it's going to be Michael Elise. It looks like maybe there's another change coming here as well for Crystal Palace. He is on the ground, Wilfried Zaha, so while the players are taking off their training tops, it does give me a moment just to let you know, for our listeners not in Ireland, so everyone who's not on the island of Ireland listening to this game will be able to get two games tomorrow. Manchester City against Wolverhampton Wanderers, 2 o'clock UK time. That one kicks off. Alex Crook, David Connolly. That's followed by Arsenal against Manchester United, 4:30 UK. That one kicks off. Toby Gillis and Paul Parker. John Howitt will bring you Leeds against Brentford for our online and digital partners. Goals as they go in during our feature match commentaries. And on Monday Night Football, another game for you as Fulham take on Tottenham. James Field and Chris Perry. Win there for Fulham. It'll be 3 defeats in a row for Tottenham Hotspur. What does that mean for Antonio Conte? We'll find out, shall we? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. 8 o'clock UK time kickoff that will be. Taking a long old time to come off here, Wilfried Zaha. It feels like wasting my time a bit.
Yeah.
Just get off, you're injured. You've been injured for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've milked this a little bit, Crystal Palace, but it's given, I guess, the subs chance to get warmed up. And the issue I have is that has Wilfried Zaha just added another 2 or 3 weeks to the time he's going to be out? Because that was daft, trying to carry on there. You do not run off hamstring injuries. It just doesn't happen.
So it's Jean-Philippe Mateta coming on, it's Will Hughes coming on, and Michael Elise coming on. Eze's already gone off. Not even seen his number go up when he's gone off. Jeffrey Schlupp is coming off, and Wilf Zaha, we've mentioned already, injured and being withdrawn. So it's 1 change for injury and 2 for tactics for Patrick Vieira.
Well, they don't look stronger as a result of those changes. Really, today, Eze and Zaha, 2 of their best players, going off. A lot really rests on the shoulder of Elise to make something happen here for them. He is a player, though, isn't he? That he can score from distance. He can put a cross on someone's head just out of nowhere, Elise. So he's a good player to bring off the bench.
Wilfried Zaha still walking around the pitch here, coming off, limping heavily following that muscular injury. I wonder if he knew about that coming into the game. Seems a bit accepting of what's happened, as opposed to a bit of a sudden pull or whatever. We're back underway. That's Jordan Ayew you can hear screaming, going to the ground. Kieran Trippier with the tackle, a bit like Mark Gay in the first half. Might need to be a bit more careful with his challenging. It has just gone for a throw.
Yeah, I think he just catches him, treads on his toe a little bit like the other incident. But look, they've got some big men up there now. Alton Edouard and Mateta. Does this mean they're going to sling some crosses into the box potentially? They've got Elise's an excellent crosser, we know that.
Sure.
The issue
yes.
is they need territory.
Yeah.
They need to get up the pitch, and they've struggled to do that today.
65 minutes gone. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0. Premier League live. Longstaff forward. Willock's got the pace on Ward, and he'll get there too. May have been tripped by Ward on his way through, but Willock's done really well to retrieve it and retain it. Tries to get a cross in, blocked by Ward, who himself did well to get back into play. It's a corner for Newcastle.
He's rapid, isn't he, Joe Willock? I mean, Joe
stumbled over again there, though. Was he caught, maybe?
He definitely got caught, but credit to him for carrying on, and he's won another corner. I think he's done okay today, Joe Willock. He's a very athletic player, very skillful, talented. But he was bought to score goals, and I think he needs to rediscover that to maybe keep his place long term in this 11 as Newcastle make those two changes we talked about. I said the hour mark, we're at 66 minutes, so Isak and Saint-Maximin.
Corner's coming first. Flicked on by Mateta at the near post. No one at the back post for Newcastle or for Palace. It's cleared away. Longstaff picks it up on the halfway line. Mateta chasing him down. A bit more of a physical presence than Alton Edouard up there. A little bit taller. A little bit more languid in the way he plays. More of a target man, which may tell you what Palace might be trying to do moving forward. They're pressing Newcastle here, Palace. Trippier's done well to get away from the press of Edouard, who's dropped it a little bit deeper, as he was against Man United in midweek. Bruno turns away from he and Mateta. It's outright to Byrne on the right-hand side, just over the halfway into Almiron. It's infield now to Sven Botman of Newcastle United. Over the halfway line, Willock, who I think might be withdrawn shortly for Saint-Maximin. Here's Joe Linton. Could be a candidate himself. Bruno, Joe Linton in the area, shuffles left, tries a cross, blocked by Hughes. Willock will keep this on here, on the end line, digs one back, Longstaff on the volley, but it's intercepted by Ayew, recovered by Almiron. Challenged by Jordan Ayew, gets the ball nicely off the Paraguayan, and then will win a free kick for his team as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're chipping away Newcastle United, but haven't managed to find that bit of final quality in and around the box. Willock's got to the byline on a number of occasions, but he's right-footed, so he has to chop back onto his right, and it's all been a bit predictable. And it is Wilson that makes way for Isak. No surprise there. I don't think we'll see them playing together that often. I think it'll be one or the other.
Well, it's Alexander Isak coming on for Callum Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin replacing Joe Willock. Now, the two changes that Eddie Howe has decided to make. Alexander Isak returned in the last 3 games following that thigh injury picked up with Sweden. 3 goals and 4 Premier League appearances. A debut goal against Liverpool, famously in the last defeat Newcastle had in the league, and scored a winner last weekend against Fulham in the 89th minute. Came on for the final 19 minutes in that game, and he'll come on for the final 20-ish here against Crystal Palace.
Yeah, just a few words from Eddie Howe to Joe Willock. I think just to reassure him, look son, you've given me everything today. Nothing to feel bad about. They do need to change things up. They need something else. And what Saint-Maximin provides is real penetration, doesn't he? A bit of unpredictability as well. And I think Joel Ward will be thinking, oh no, look at this guy.
Here's a Palace attack down the left-hand side. Edouard's cross cleared away by Bruno. Not out the area though by Newcastle as yet. Ayew brings it down. Goal side of Trippier. Done well to keep it in on the end line. Then Edouard, robbed nicely by Almiron. Isak and Almiron try a 1-2. Foul by Edouard as Newcastle look to break. The crowd aren't particularly happy about that. Looks like Joe Linton's gone into a more midfield role. Isak's gone through the centre. Almiron on the right. And Alan Saint-Maximin, as he usually is, out on the left-hand side.
Yeah, exactly. I think it makes complete sense.
Down the line here to Jordan Ayew for Palace, who have gone a bit 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1. Edouard in behind Mateta. Ayew driving down the left. He thinks he's got a corner. He's got a goal kick for Newcastle United, which he is not happy about.
No, I think he did run it out, actually, Jordan Ayew. I always think he's better on the right than the left, though. That's where he is at the moment as Klein.
He's going to come on here for Joe Ward, I think, to your point of a few moments ago.
Yeah.
I think Vieira is thinking the same as you. We've got to get some fresh legs on here against Alain Saint-Maximin.
Yeah, that Ward's not getting any younger. He's had a difficult afternoon anyway. He's tiring. The last thing he fancied was 1v1s against Alain Saint-Maximin. So yeah, Klein on. I think that's smart management. Shows that Patrick Vieira is awake, reading the game as he should.
Klein on, Ward off. It's a fourth change for Crystal Palace in the last few minutes or so. A triple followed by a single. And we have 20 minutes remaining of normal time. 70 minutes on the clock. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0 on Premier League Live. Same scoreline as we've said a few times, but for those just joining us, when these two teams have met twice this season in the Carabao Cup and earlier this season in the Premier League, as Trippier clips one forward towards Issa. Run by Gay. Elise cushions it back to Mitchell. Hughes and Mitchell play themselves into trouble. Mitchell has to clear it down the sideline to Ayew, who's been very alert in the last few minutes or so over on this right-hand side for Vieira's team. Elise has run the ball back from Bruno. Hughes then protects it from the Brazilian and knocks it back to Gay. And Gay will find Guaita around the penalty spot. Had much to do really, Guaita, despite 5 shots on target from Newcastle.
Yeah, I'd echo that. Yeah, I think Newcastle have disappointed a bit in the second half in terms of what they've produced. They've got into the areas, but not enough good quality shots. And when the good chances have come around, they've been wasteful, haven't they, with Wilson in particular.
Bruno right to Trippier, midway inside their own half here. Newcastle United. It's funny, I watched the game midweek against Man United for Palace, and of course this one here as well. And I wouldn't say they've played well in either game, but they're clearly difficult to play against. Yeah. Why is that?
It's a good question. I mean, they've got good players. I think Vieira does organise them quite well. There's a bit of spirit about them, but
won the ball up the field here. We'll maybe come back to that as Crystal Palace have a chance in the penalty area. Mateta! Oh, what a save by Pope. Jean-Philippe Mateta swung that big right leg and he made a fantastic connection on the ball. It's on target, it's flying in before Nick Pope makes a sensational save.
Well, this is one of the saves of the season. Absolutely stunning from Nick Pope. He has had nothing to do all day, and he's pulled that out of the bag. That is amazing. What a tip over from Mateta. He's got no right to save that.
Woken up from a 73-minute slumber to make the save of the game. Maybe even more than that, as Adrian was saying. Elise's delivery comes in, Richard's header, but it's skimmed off the top of his hair and gone away to the far side where Doucouré's too strong for Bruno. Plays it back to Tyrick Mitchell, and suddenly there's some wind in the sails of Crystal Palace coming forward. Elise left-hand side, right-footed chip in, deep ball. Away by Botman, recovered by Doucouré, on towards the runner on the right, back to Doucouré again, shot comes in, blocked by Botman, spins over on the far side but doesn't go over the end line. Pope's done well to keep it in.
Yeah, that was it's just a great chance. He couldn't have struck it any sweeter, Mateta. Terrific effort from him. Just the reactions were off the scale from Nick Pope, who's been just mega, hasn't he, this season? Just superb. On Palace, why are they difficult to play against? It's a hard one. Selhurst Park has always been an awkward place for teams to go. But I don't want to say that. I'm trying to think. They don't ever sort of fall apart, do they, Crystal Palace? They stay in games. I don't think they're bad at anything, but they're not brilliant at many things either. They've been a mid-table side for a long time now, Crystal Palace, and that's probably a reflection of it.
Will Hughes yellow carded here for a late challenge on the halfway line on Kieran Trippier, and to build on that point, same amount of points as last season, same position as last season. I think the season before is the same as well. You know, perfectly acceptable, but kind of never really going anywhere, Crystal Palace, which is something Vieira's trying to fix, of course.
Yeah.
But at the moment not been able to do so. .75 minutes on the clock. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0. Best chance of the game moments ago. Mateta for Palace. Brilliant save by Nick Pope.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth Southgate's here. We've seen on our monitor.
Flick on here towards Isak. Chance maybe Joe Linton. Cleared away by Klein.
Good defending from Klein. Yeah, just thinking about Pope, and I mean, he's got to be knocking on the door, hasn't he, to be England's number one. He's certainly had a better season than Jordan Pickford, but we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. I think he's improved the Magpies a lot.
And as Klein cleared that ball away in the penalty area, he was caught late by Joe Linton, so that's a free kick, which goes the way of Crystal Palace.
But, I mean, that could be a massive save in the context of their season as well. Lose here, is it that potential for Newcastle to just go off the rails a little bit?
I mean, you stop scoring goals and you concede one, it can change things,
yeah,
can't it?
Exactly. And, you know, if they keep another clean sheet here, the narrative is that no one can score against Newcastle United. That might get into the minds of other teams as well.
I think he was delivering the left-hand side as hit Tyrick Mitchell on the calves there, and it's gone out for a goal kick. I think it's fair to say that both these teams are just struggling to work out how to score a goal right now.
Yes, yeah, it's panned out the way we feared it might. We're 15 minutes away from that third consecutive goalless draw between these two teams this season.
I mean, I don't like to lie to our listeners, so when the game is terrible, I will tell people, but I actually think it's been quite an interesting game of football.
Yeah,
between these two. It's not a bad 0-0.
I've seen much worse, and I think Newcastle have, by and large, played pretty well.
Here's Isak on the far side trying to inject a bit of life into Newcastle's attack. Challenged again by Chris Richards, who is putting it about, isn't he, at centre half?
I think he's the one player in Crystal Palace's starting 11 that will feel really pleased with his performance. This is tough. This is Newcastle, top four, but he has handled it, US international, very, very well. You know, he's not had many Premier League minutes, but you wouldn't say that looks the case here.
Corner taken short, so Maximan trying to weave his way past Will Hughes, which he does, but the cross hits Klein. But yet another corner to Newcastle United. They are racking up now. It's 10 in the match for the Magpies to this point.
Yeah, and they've almost scored from a couple of them. Crystal Palace got to concentrate hard here. The tall players. I mean, Isak himself is a really tall, lanky player.
6'4", the striker who's come on. Burn, big man, flicks it on. Joe Linton, back post, cleared away by Mateta himself. Is a giant of a player.
Yeah. Burn is he's a man mountain. He got something on that, and then it almost fell to Joe Linton. Trippier's coming over the other side now to take this. It'll be an outswinger.
In front of that gathering of Newcastle United supporters. Haven't seen anyone shirtless as yet. We'll see if this goes in, whether the top stay on. Towards the near post, flicked away rather than towards goal by Cher, and Elise can start the counter-attack here. He's got runners, but doesn't find any of them with the pass. It's Alain Maximan back defending who wins it back, and he carries Newcastle upfield. Driving run into Isak, held up by Richards. Isak has to go back to Joe Linton, challenged by Elise. The work rate by Palace has been terrific, you've got to say.
They don't let you down in that department. That's why probably they are such awkward opponents. I mean, Spurs smashed them, didn't they? That was almost a freak sort of bang, bang, bang game, wasn't it? Where
very
Tottenham,
even first half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tottenham had a little bit of a purple patch, but that doesn't happen very often with Palace.
Almiron overlapping his Trippier. Cross comes in. Deep delivery. Chance again. This time it's Isak. And once again, Newcastle have had a chance and passed it straight back to the Crystal Palace goalkeeper.
It's lovely football. Almiron tees up Trippier on the overlap. Beautiful cross. But again, it's another example of a striker having to backpedal to get on the end of a cross. And because of that, he's straining his neck muscles to get any power. Can't get over the ball, and it just loops into the arms of Greta. But yeah, what Newcastle need to do is maybe hold their runs a little bit later and attack the ball. What we've seen today is them get in pretty early and then have to sort of steady themselves to attack the cross. It's impacted their ability to score.
Trippier chips one down the line.
Lovely play.
Almiron's onside. Takes Mitchell wide. Hughes is there too. Into Longstaff. Bruno Guimaraes. Square ball. Trying to find the run of Joe Linton, but well read by Klein, who rolls back the ears and carries Palace up to the halfway line. Right to Edouard, who looks at Elise, gives it straight to Bruno, and Newcastle can take advantage now with Klein way out of position over on that far side. Richards pulls out, tries to stop Maximan. Elise back helping out. And Maximan had nowhere to go, so it goes back to Dan Burn.
Yep.
Didn't quite expect that there, you know.
No. A bit more into end though, isn't it? Last 5 minutes, we're seeing a bit more space, and I think both teams fancy winning it.
Clearance by Richards, falls to Almiron, who takes a slash at goal. Spins it off the outside of the boot. It's come off a Palace player on the way through, I think, there for another corner for Newcastle. Yes, it is.
You like a random stat, don't you?
You know I do.
Palace have lost their last 8 home league games on a Saturday at 5:30.
Oh.
They hate this kick-off slot. So look, maybe a point will be a good point for them.
There you go.
I mean, it'll feel like a good point again against a Newcastle side that have created so many half chances, wouldn't it, as well?
But then the 5:30 game, it's always going to be against someone good, isn't it? Wow. They don't put Palace West Ham in this slot, do they? Deep delivery in. Chance maybe for Fabian Schär. Good work by Mateta to head the ball away for yet another corner for Newcastle United.
Yeah, but look, home game, Sellers Park, they don't send their fans home happy on a Saturday night from this kick-off slot very often. It's a long time since they got a win. I think they'll take a point here, Palace. And they'll have earned it, because on the balance of play, Newcastle should be 2 up at least.
But they can't find the net at the moment. Corner right-hand side. Trippier's delivery. Headed towards goal at the back post, but again, there's no great venom on the header. I think it's Botman who won it, but it's a simple save down low to his right for Goita.
Yep. Yeah, it's just not a problem, is it? He's not really had to. I mean, it's the Newcastle keeper, Nick Pope, that's had to make the toughest save of the entire game. Yeah, I mean, 13 shots. According to Opta, the XG, the expected goals from those 13 shots, is 0.39.
Yeah.
I mean, that tells you that there are 13 less than half chances.
I would suggest, though, that both Isak and Callum Wilson should have scored.
Yeah, so I disagree with that stat.
Yeah, it's almost like XG is rubbish. Ball down the right-hand side here to Longstaff, who chips one up towards the back post. Oh, I bet that had a good XG, that cross, but it's not a great delivery. And it's gathered by Joe Linton on the back post.
It's a flawed stat.
They come again, Newcastle. Bruno, crossfield to Trippier. 83 minutes gone, 0-0. Oh. Trippier, Longstaff in the area. Mitchell's won it. Calling for a penalty, bizarrely. I think he just wasn't strong enough there, Longstaff. Clearance, though, straight to Schär. And Newcastle come again. It's wave after wave at the moment for Newcastle United. Outright to Almiron, held up by Mitchell. He's had the beating of him most of the day. This time he goes back infield to find Botman. Every outfield player is in the offensive third here at Newcastle United. Defensive for Crystal Palace. They have to go back a bit now to Burn, all the way back now to Nick Pope. Bit of frustration there for Newcastle.
Yeah, well organised. Crystal Palace kept their shape. Very determined, aren't they, to hang on to this clean sheet. I think from their end, it's an alright week. Okay, it's 2 home games, but they haven't lost. You know, if it finishes like this, they've drawn with Manchester United, they've drawn with Newcastle. I think that's a building block, isn't it, for them?
What a challenge that is from Richards, getting there before Isak. Diagonal ball into him from Trippier, and it's got Crystal Palace moving again. Down the left-hand side with Ayew taking on Trippier, who can't do anything here on a yellow card. Longstaff comes to help, cross comes in, chance at the back post for Mateta. He couldn't get there, so Maximan picks it up on the far side to bring Newcastle away. Over the top to Isak, who's goal side of Richards. Gay will hold him up. Not for long though. Isak gets away down the left-hand side. No support for the forward at the moment. He's in the penalty area, takes Gay on the outside. Gay goes to ground and gets a really good challenge in to knock it out for another Newcastle corner.
He had to get it right. If he didn't get that right, Mark, he gives away a penalty, and he probably gets sent off because he's on that yellow card. He's on the last tackle. He's really relieved. Isak's a handful, isn't he? He'll make those channel runs, and he'll twist and turn defenders. At the other end of the pitch, there was a penalty appeal. I don't think so. Dan Burn just defends the danger zone really well in front of Mateta, another big guy.
It's another corner for Newcastle United, of which there have been several now. It's 14 for Newcastle. Haven't been particularly effective from many of them, but you've only got to score from one with things as they are. Delivered in, flicked off the back of Dan Burn. I think it came off maybe Schär last. They're all running towards the near post. It's a goal kick for Crystal Palace, whatever.
Yeah, he should come off. I think it comes off of Isak actually, and then maybe off a Palace defender. The referee didn't spot it, and another corner is wasted. You've got to say that Palace have defended them well. We've had a lot of practice at dealing with these set pieces today, but haven't made too many mistakes. And when they have made those errors with the marking, Newcastle have missed the opportunities.
Change here for Newcastle United. Mickey Almiron is now being withdrawn for Murphy, Jacob Murphy. That's the third change they're able to make. Newcastle United. Almiron he's had the beating, isn't he, of the fullback all day, but hasn't quite been able to do anything when he's got there.
No, I think he's underwhelmed a little bit today. Mickey Almiron, flattered to deceive. Looked a bit more like the old Almiron this evening, but I mean, he's having a cracking season. You know, he can't be a world beater every time you go out to play.
86 minutes gone. Crystal Palace 0, Newcastle United 0 on Premier League Live. Just hearing Crystal Palace might be getting ready with another change. David Ozo, the midfielder, looks likely to come on as Palace cross running from the left-hand side, right across the area. Mateta can't control it, and so Maximan can bring it away up towards the halfway, away from Decore, who's brought him down, and that's a Pep Guardiola foul there. They had to stop the counter-attack by any means necessary, and they did.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola foul. Yeah, it was cynical. It was definitely a tactical foul, which I think is what you're getting at.
Yes.
But yeah, Sam Maximan, that's what he brings. He just carries the ball, and it's really hard to knock off the ball. And he knew exactly what he was doing there, Sam Maximan. I think he's been sharp since he came on.
Final 3 minutes plus change. There will be a few added on because of the injury to Wilfried Zaha, which cost us a good 4 or 5 minutes, I'd say, across the game.
Yeah.
As Newcastle blast this one long from the halfway. Joe Linton on. Hughes hooks it away. Bruno heads back to Trippier, and Newcastle will try again. Just looking a little bit idealist at the moment, as they did late on against Fulham, to be fair, and they found a way then. So Maximan into Longstaff, then on towards Joe Linton, who's chugged on regardless over on that far side. Carries it back towards the halfway now, goes cross field to the right hand side, and Kieran Trippier. Trippier into Bruno on to Murphy. Gets away from a couple of challenges, finds a nice 1-2 as well. He's in here, Murphy, cross comes in, Isak, so Maximan! Shot blocked on the far side by Klein and Elise. You are starting to get the feeling, as I think Eddie Howe is on the edge of his technical area, it's not going to be Newcastle's day.
Yeah, we said this about half an hour ago, maybe it's not going to be their night. It's a great 1-2, share to Murphy, it falls to Sam Maximan, and it is good defending at the far post. They gang up on him. How they've not converted it, I'm not entirely sure.
Corner 15, delivered in. Guaita punches into Murphy. Can Murphy get a shot on goal? Yes, he can, but it doesn't go anywhere near the goal. Palace get it away, further away again with a hook from Hudson Edouard. Then Will Hughes just gives it a wallop as hard as he possibly can down the line. As Crystal Palace are just holding on desperately here, and they are going to bring in a bit more solidity in midfield. David Ozo is about to come on, a man who's been at Crystal Palace since the age of 8, and this will be a first team debut for the young man from the area, coming on to replace Hudson Edouard, who has played a couple of positions today in the number 10 role, midfield up front, and maybe just need some fresh legs for the last couple of minutes.
Nothing's really fallen for Hudson Edouard today. I like him as a player, but not really having a barnstorming season, is he? It's always nice to see a homegrown player from the academy get their chance at first team level. Wish Ozo all the very best. Really special night for him.
Yeah, and it says on the Crystal Palace website, which is where I get my information on him, models himself on Patrick Vieira, so probably at the right club at this moment in time.
You'd say so.
So Maximan on here to Longstaff, crossed by Longstaff, it's over Isak, it's too long for Murphy, and it goes out for a goal kick as we tick up to 90.
Again, it's in the middle third. Newcastle brilliant. You know, they play through Crystal Palace. They've got runners, triangles. They get in behind, and then they can't get, they either get the cross wrong or they get the finish wrong. It really has been one of those evenings for Eddie Howe's side. He must be pretty frustrated. I don't think he'll be critical of their general play, but the end product tonight has just been poor.
4 minutes added on, just to 4 at the end of the 90. I'm sure Jason Tyndall's delighted down there alongside the fourth official, probably giving Anthony Taylor a bit of an earful. One wonders if we played another 90 if there'd be a goal in this game.
Not between these two, yeah.
How did we get booked for this one? I don't know. How did we draw the short straw? Mind you, to be fair, I think it's been a better game than Liverpool against Chelsea earlier.
Yeah. I caught bits of it. I was listening to it on the way down, and yeah, it didn't sound a classic. It's two teams that are desperately out of form. But Newcastle are in good form, but the goals, as you've pointed out throughout tonight's commentary, the goals have dried up for them, and that is a concern. I think Eddie Howe needs to find a fix for that.
Chipped by Mitchell into nowhere. Byrne heads away. Forward by Decore, brought down by Oso. Can't turn his way forward. So Maximum on the far side, losing out to Elise, runs straight into touch for a throw to Crystal Palace, and maybe they'll have the final chance of the match.
Maybe. I think Newcastle need to sign a forward. They just let Chris Wood go, haven't they, to Forest? So yeah, I think one or two forwards will come in between now and the close of the window. I think they have to. Well,
they only signed Chris Wood to relegate Burnley, so I wonder who they'll sign to stop someone getting in the top 4. About Weghorst, maybe. I think Man United fans might be happy to see him go. There's Hughes dribbles forward here for Crystal Palace. Ozo leaves it for Elise. Loves a late goal, Elise. Cross comes in here, cleared away by Botman. And it's Crystal Palace suddenly at the death, trying to get this 1-1.
Yeah, it was a nice little dummy, wasn't it, from Michael Elise onto his weaker right foot. And it was put into the right area, but Botman, his positioning, as it so often is, was decent.
Here's Will Hughes, clearance falls to him. Poke to Mateta, cleared by Cher, up towards the halfway line where Richards will sweep up for Crystal Palace, which he's done very well across the day. Back to Guaita, some pressure from Murphy, forcing him to go quick and long. And it's picked up by Byrne in the left back area, who turns it forward, but into touch over on the sideline. He was being nominally pressed by Elise. And it's a Crystal Palace throw with 90 seconds remaining.
I feel like a bit cheated. I would feel a bit cheated if I was a Palace fan. Where was this urgency before? Because when they get into the final third and they play with a bit more drive, they've got a threat. But we haven't seen enough of this.
Well, I'm sure buoyed by that late goal against Manchester United a couple of days ago, the fans might feel something's happening here in the last minute. Elise, nice bit of skill over on the far side away from Joe Linton. Can he get across then? He wants a corner. He's going to get his cross blocked by Elise. Then Joe Linton swung an arm here at Elise. Elise pushes him back, and the two men square up to each other. Dan Byrne gets in the way of any further fracas between the two, but Joe Linton has swung the right arm there, and I think he might be in some trouble here if there's a VAR look at this.
They will have a look.
If the referee's not seen it and they think that's violent conduct, I think there's a possibility here that Joe Linton could be in some trouble. He hasn't connected with a meaty elbow, I don't think. He's getting a yellow card, as is Elise, but
obviously the referee believes he's seen it, and that's that. Right, this is the replay on our monitor. Let's have a look.
He was being held, but then he swings the right arm.
Yeah.
It's low as opposed to high, so I think that might save him here.
Yeah, definitely. That's no more than a yellow for me.
I can tell you that Jason Tyndall has been yellow carded. I'm led to believe when the 4 minutes went up, he had to go at the fourth official.
Didn't you commentate on that very thing?
Hey, and tonight's lottery numbers are 7, 16, 35 and 12. Congratulations, you millionaires. That'll be it. There's nothing left. The final whistle has gone, and it's goalless between Crystal Palace and Newcastle United for the third time this season. Goalless at St James's, goalless in the Carabao, and goalless here at Selhurst Park in the Premier League. There are some highlights, though. Here they are. Now they're driving down the left-hand side with Willock, who's in the penalty area, cuts it back, chance for Almiron, and he's put it wide from the right-hand side. I think we all expected the net to ripple there. The Newcastle fans over on that side were cheering like it's gone in. Everything's gone in for Almiron this season, but not that time.
He hasn't got a lot to aim at. He just dinks it. He stands the ball up to the far post, misses out all the Palace defenders.